In the headlines, we begin with the high-stakes nuclear standoff in Switzerland. U.S.-Iran nuclear negotiations have entered a critical phase following a pivotal meeting in Geneva. Tehran sent experts to meet watchdog chief Rafael Grossi, while Marco Rubio warned Iran's leadership remains a key obstacle. Geneva is also the setting for a new diplomatic push to end the bloody conflict in Eastern Europe. Fresh efforts to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine are underway in Geneva. Russian and Ukrainian delegations have arrived for new U.S. media talks as pressure builds for a ceasefire. While diplomats seek peace abroad, the people of Cuba are facing a grim reality as the island's grid collapses. Cuba is grappling with a catastrophic energy crisis that has left over half the island without power. Blackouts now affect 55% of the country. In the U.S., a residential neighborhood in Virginia became the scene of a fiery disaster overnight. A powerful explosion destroyed a home in Fairfax, Virginia. Evacuations were ordered as crews responded to a possible gas leak. In Taiwan, Lunar New Year celebrations are underway, but vendors say the festive spirit isn't translating to sales. Markets filled with crowds, but rising prices kept spending low. Vendors reported weaker than expected sales. Back home, the legal battle over the previous administration's drug war continues to intensify. The legal camp of former President Rodrigo Duterte is challenging the validity of the recent ICC documents. Lawyers say the materials contain major gaps. And finally, a major court ruling in Seoul and a nostalgic announcement from the K-pop kings. The Seoul High Court ordered he to pay damages over the Jisoo scandal. Meanwhile, BTS teased their new album, Arira. I'm Prince Tripoli. Newsline World starts now. Our first story, Philippines' former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre criticized the inclusion of his name in the list of the International Criminal Court or ICC. He insisted that this is merely intended to strengthen the ICC case against former President Rodrigo Duterte. MJ Mondihar reports.
The name of former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre appeared in the ICC list of alleged co-perpetrators in the Duterte administration's war on drugs. The said list contains personalities allegedly involved with the former president in the campaign against illegal drugs. In an interview with SMNI News, Attorney Aguirre questioned the credibility of the document.
At least ako, sinama dyan para maging kapanipaniwala ba sa ICC yung demanda, yung charges against President Duterte.
Aside from Aguirre, Senators Bato de la Rosa and Bongo were also listed among co-perpetrators. Also named were former Philippine National Police chiefs and senior officials, including General Vicente Danao, Camilo Cascolan, Oscar Albayalde, Isidro La Peña, and former NBI Chief Dante Gueran. According to Aguirre, their inclusion was meant to create the impression that there was a widespread government plan at that time to kill civilians.
Kasi may sinasabi sila na ang lahat ng itong mga AJK killing, AJK na yan, itong pagpatay sa mga civilians, ayan is part of a common plan. Para bang may state policy na gustong palabasin itong mga nagpo-prosecute against Duterte.
The ICC allegedly aims to establish that the killings of suspected drug dependents were carried out as a state policy or an order of the state. Thus, Aguirre said it is only natural for them to include allies of the former president and the Department of Justice to add weight to the accusations.
If you were the lawyer of President Duterte, of course you are going to oppose this, expose this as false. Kasi para maging kapanipaniwala, katulad ng sinabi ko, ang charge against Duterte ay dapat magkaroon ng common plan, and then sa common plan na yan ay dapat kasama ang Department of Justice.
The former secretary also believes that the release of the document is politically motivated. He alleged that the ICC list is being used as a diversionary tactic to shift public attention away from alleged corruptions involving flood control projects under the Marcos Jr. government. Nevertheless, Aguirre said he is ready to face any accusation against him.
Kung confidential yan, bakit lumabas yan? So, yan, makikita mo na yan ay politically motivated and there must be a political motive. Kaya nilabas yan at this time. Alam naman natin, ang development dito sa ating bansa na yan ay unang-una para mapagtakpan itong mga flood control cases na ito.
Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondihar, SMNI News.
The legal camp of former President Rodrigo Duterte pointed out what it described as gaps in the document released by the International Criminal Court. MJ Mondihar is back for more news.
They cannot even admit, at least in their allegation, that the accused committed murder, as alleged. They use the word neutralize.
This was the assessment of the lawyer of former President Rodrigo Duterte in the Philippines regarding the ICC's less redacted version of the document containing the charges, or DCC. In the said document, several close allies of the former president were named as alleged accomplices in the war on drugs. According to Attorney Martin Delgra, the complaint has a weak basis due to the terms used in the document.
Yung word na yan, na neutralize, wala pong legal categorization under our criminal law. And in fact, binasa ko yung Rome Statute, wala ring legal definition of a crime that says neutralize the victim.
Delgra specifically questioned the use of the word neutralize in Section 3A of the document. For the former president's camp, the term has no legal meaning under Philippine law, nor under the Rome Statute, the international treaty that established the ICC and defines crimes under its jurisdiction.
So, nakapagtataka kung bakit in the first place this case proceeded on the basis of those preliminary statements in the document containing the charges.
Delgra also emphasized that the ICC document itself described targets of the war on drugs as alleged criminals or suspected criminals.
First of all, it says here that the alleged victims admitted to be criminals, not an attack against civilian population, which the Rome Statute so defined as an element under the crime against humanity. So inadmit na dun sa dokumento na yung target dun sa anti-drug policy ay yung mga kriminal.
Because of this, Duterte's legal team continues to prepare for the upcoming ICC hearings related to the case. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondihar, SMNI News.
Senate Pro Tempore Ping Lacson insisted that the International Criminal Court, or ICC, should respect the jurisdiction of local courts in the Philippines and any actions it may take against Senator Bongo and Senator Bato de la Rosa. This comes after the ICC named the two senators as alleged co-perpetrators in the drug war case of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Sheena Torno reports.
The senators, particularly the majority bloc, are expected to hold a meeting on Wednesday, February 18. Among the matters to be discussed is the possible arrest of Senator Bongo and Senator Bato de la Rosa. This follows the International Criminal Court, or ICC, declaration that they are co-perpetrators in the drug war case under former President Rodrigo Duterte. According to Senate Pro Tempore Ping Lacson, the senators will also discuss issues related to the immunity of senators. Under the Constitution, senators have limited protection from arrest during congressional session, especially for cases with penalties of 6 years or less. Senator Lacson also emphasized that if the ICC issues an arrest warrant, it must go through local courts in the Philippines. The senator added that what he is protecting is the legal process that should be followed in any action the ICC may take against Go and Bato. Meanwhile, Senator Go has already denied the allegations, saying that they have no basis and are unfair. He also claimed he had no involvement in these allegations and that it is untrue that he served as chief of the presidential management staff at that time. The senator stressed that he only performed his duties in accordance with the law and will not be swayed by baseless accusations. Attorney Ferdinand Topacio, deputy spokesperson of the Partido Demokratiko Pilipino, or PDP, condemned the ICC's interference in filing what he described as illegal indictments against some government officials. He also stressed that the ICC has no jurisdiction in the Philippines to arrest Senator Go and Senator De La Rosa. They are prepared to contest this through available legal processes. So far, Senator Bato de la Rosa has not issued any statement on this matter. It is worth recalling that Marcos administration illegally brought former President Duterte to the ICC in The Hague, Netherlands, despite him not having been tried by local courts in the Philippines. For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Sheena Torno, SMNI News.
As the country celebrates the Chinese New Year, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. encouraged Filipinos to embody the dynamic spirit of the fire horse by pairing courage and momentum with discipline, diligence, and responsible governance. Wrestling Katarong has the news.
In his New Year message, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. urged the public to act with intention and balance, moving swiftly when necessary, but exercising careful judgment when it counts most. While energy and speed can drive progress, he emphasized that clear direction is what ultimately produces meaningful results. Marcos highlighted the need to safeguard essential pillars such as equal opportunities and dependable public services, while also strengthening productivity, value chains, and inclusive communities that support the vulnerable. Drawing from the symbolism of the horse and the fire element, representing movement, bravery, and unyielding drive, the president noted that national advancement requires more than inspiration. He stressed that genuine progress depends on responsible households, competitive industries, and efficient public service working in unison to build a stronger and more empowered Philippines. He underscored that prosperity is cultivated through everyday effort, sound financial decisions, and consistent governance. According to Marcos, when families manage resources wisely and institutions uphold high standards, daily hard work transforms into sustainable long-term growth. The president described the 2026 Chinese New Year as a time for renewal and reflection, an opportunity for individuals, communities, and businesses to align their priorities and pursue shared goals for development. Concluding his message, Marcos expressed hope that by staying focused and maintaining high standards, the nation can move toward a more agile, prosperous, and empowered future. He wished all Filipinos a vibrant and fruitful year ahead. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Wrestling Katarong, SMNI News.
Up next, a powerful explosion destroyed a home in Fairfax, Virginia. Evacuations were ordered as crews responded to a possible gas leak. And Cuba is grappling with a catastrophic energy crisis that has left over half the island without power. Blackouts now affect 55% of the country. More news when Newsline World returns.
Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama, nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo na malayan, ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika, at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod, pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakakadepress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman dyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit, mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content online hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata. dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse. Magpahinga sa screen, magbasa, makipagkwentuhan, magdasal, maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
And we're back. A powerful explosion tore through a residential neighborhood in Fairfax, sparking a massive fire that engulfed a home and sent thick smoke billowing into the sky. Authorities say the explosion occurred inside a single-family home, triggering a blaze that quickly intensified. The sudden blast also shook homes nearby. No injuries were reported. Neighbors described hearing a loud boom before seeing smoke and flames rising above the property. Emergency crews rushed to the scene. Flames quickly consumed the structure as firefighters worked to contain the rapidly spreading fire. They battled in the inferno for several hours to prevent the flames from spreading to nearby houses. Officials have not yet confirmed the cause of the explosion, and investigation is still underway. Meanwhile, Cuba is facing one of its darkest hours as a creeping energy crisis has left more than half the island without power. According to the state electric company, UNE, blackouts are now affecting over 55% of the territory during peak hours. The situation has escalated following a recent U.S. executive order targeting oil suppliers, leaving families in the dark and disrupting the education of millions of children amid sweltering heat. Joy Tabanao has the details.
The streets of Havana have fallen into silence as rolling blackouts continue to paralyze the Cuban capital. With no foreign oil received since December 2025, the island's aging power plants are struggling to stay online. The crisis intensified after President Donald Trump signed an executive order imposing additional tariffs on any country supplying oil to Cuba. A move President Miguel Diaz-Canel describes as an attempt to asphyxiate the nation. For many residents, the lack of electricity has turned daily survival into a community effort, with neighbors sharing rechargeable lamps and limited power sources to stay connected.
Al no haber corriente, los centros de trabajo no pueden funcionar al 100, son menos horas útiles y eso afecta grandemente la economía porque un país no puede desarrollarse como debe ser con esta situación tan difícil. Menos horas de trabajo, se aprovecha menos la jornada, la productividad es menor también. Para nosotros la vida como que se nos ha dislocado, se nos ha trastocado bastante.
The impact is being felt most by young Cubans. Without fans or air conditioning, children are spending sleepless nights in the tropical heat, leading to exhaustion and irritability in the classroom. Education officials warn that the quality of learning is rapidly declining as both students and teachers struggle to function under such extreme conditions. Hospitals and workplaces are also operating at a fraction of their capacity, further crippling an already fragile economy.
Es desesperante para los niños dormir porque el calor los afecta, pasan madrugadas enteras prácticamente sin dormir, luego llegan a la escuela irritados, con sueño, no aprovechan bien la jornada de estudio porque están bien cansaditos, bien agotaditos, así que también afecta la educación, afecta a los niños.
While Mexico has recently sent humanitarian aid via sea, the energy blockade remains a formidable barrier to the island's recovery. UNE forecast suggests that the deficit will only grow in the coming days as fuel reserves run dry. As the international community watches the deepening humanitarian crisis, the people of Cuba remain caught between geopolitical pressures and the daily struggle to keep their lamps lit. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Brazil has cemented its position as a global meat superpower after beef exports to China surged by 35% this January. Data from the Brazilian Association of Meat Exporting Industries highlights a strategic shift in trade as Brazil leverages decades of genetic research and geopolitical trends to prioritize the Chinese market over traditional partners like the United States. Jane Cudnita has the details.
Inside the butcher shops of Rio de Janeiro, the quality of Brazilian beef is on full display, a result of a long-term strategy to dominate the global market. New figures reveal that in January 2026 alone, China imported approximately 123,000 tons of Brazilian beef. This represents nearly 47% of Brazil's total meat exports for the month. Experts suggest this massive volume is a payoff from an investment in genetics and technology that began over 20 years ago.
En enero de 2026 hemos visto un aumento de las exportaciones de Brasil a China de en torno a un 35% de aumento del volumen, que es un montón, pero esto no es nada casual. Esto se debe a un esfuerzo que está haciendo Brasil desde el año 2003-2004 por llegar a ser la primera potencia mundial en exportación de carne.
The secret to this growth lies in genetic improvement. By crossing indigenous breeds with British cattle, Brazil has enhanced the flavor and fat marbling of its meat, making it highly competitive on the world stage. However, beyond the quality of the product, analysts point to a significant geopolitical shift. With a population of 1.4 billion, even a small increase in China's consumption translates to thousands of tons in trade. Specialist Elizabeth Iborra notes that Brazil is now actively privileging its trade relationship with Beijing over Washington for both economic and political reasons.
Brasil está privilegiando el comercio con China en vez de con otros países como por ejemplo Estados Unidos, también por motivos geopolíticos.
As China continues to serve as the primary destination for South American beef, the ripple effects are being felt in restaurants and markets worldwide. With its improved breeds and strategic alliances, Brazil is no longer a participant in a global meat trade. It is setting the pace. For exporters in Brazil, the China factor remains the most critical driver of their economic future. This has been Jane Cudnita, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Crowds surge through Lunar New Year markets in Taipei, but vendors say rising prices and cautious spending have dampened sales despite a government cash handout aimed at boosting consumer confidence. Carla Abellana tells us more.
On Lunar New Year, festive spirit fills the streets of Taipei. But many small vendors' stronger crowds are not necessarily translating into stronger sales. Shoppers browsed Lunar New Year themed decorations, snacks, and gifts as stalls lined the busy streets of the Taiwanese capital. Vendors sold everything from festive ornaments to keychains, while calligraphers carefully wrote traditional red couplets symbolizing luck and prosperity. But behind the lively atmosphere, some sellers say business has been disappointing. Ms. Lin says that compared to previous years, sales have noticeably declined.
因为我们做10几年了，不知道呢。 不知道为什么会今年买就有点差，比较不好。这几年做下来，好像今年特别场子都特别不好。
The slowdown comes despite a government cash handout aimed at boosting customer spending.
我原本也想说，今年有补发1万块，应该是会消费能力会比较强，很好让百花。今年特别明显。
差多少？
我2/3有。
那差很多。
对。
Economists say inflation and rising living costs may be weighing on consumer confidence, even during one of the busiest shopping seasons of the year. For God in my beloved Philippines, Carla Abellana, SMNI News.
Tradition met technology as humanoid robots perform synchronized martial arts routines for the CCTV Spring Festival Gala, one of the most watched television events in China. Vali Vinagracia has the story.
Humanoid robots took center stage in a martial arts performance during rehearsals for the Spring Festival celebrations in China. The high-tech showcase was featured in this year's CCTV Spring Festival Gala, blending tradition with cutting-edge innovation. The humanoid performed choreographed martial arts routines inspired by classic Chinese kung fu, complete with precise stances, coordinated spins, and dramatic finishing poses. Engineers behind the project say the machines were programmed to replicate fluid combat movements while maintaining balance, rhythm, timing, and coordination alongside human performers. Broadcast annually on Lunar New Year's Eve, the Spring Festival Gala draws hundreds of millions of viewers, serving as a global showcase of Chinese culture and artistic scale. This year, the inclusion of humanoid martial artists underscored China's accelerating strides in robotics and artificial intelligence, placing innovation shoulder to shoulder with centuries-old tradition. Organizers say the performance symbolizes the fusion of heritage and innovation, showcasing how traditional culture can meet modern technology on one of the world's biggest televised stages. From kung fu masters to mechanical fighters, this year's gala promises a spectacle where tradition and technology move in harmony. Reporting News and World, this is Val Divina Gracia, SMNI News.
When we return, U.S.-Iran nuclear negotiations have entered a critical phase following a pivotal meeting in Geneva. Tehran sent experts to meet watchdog chief Rafael Grossi, while Marco Rubio warned Iran's leadership remains a key obstacle. And fresh efforts to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine are underway in Geneva. Russian and Ukrainian delegations have arrived for new U.S. immediate talks as pressure builds for a ceasefire. More news after the break.
Isang pindot lang, pwede kang maka-jackpot. Mukhang masaya at easy money lang. Sa murang halaga, pwede ka na tumaya sa online gambling at e-casino apps. Mayroong sabong, slot machines, mahjong, poker at iba pa. Kailangan mo lang ng smartphone, e-wallet at internet. Pero ang aliw na ito, unti-unting nagiging bitag para sa mga Pilipino. Lalo na kung ang paborito mong artista o influencer ang mukha ng app. Mas madaling makaengganyo, diba? Parang safe naman kasi may kilalang mukha. Pero sa likod ng ngiti, sugal pa rin ang itinutulak. At syempre, mas madali ring itago ang pagkalulong sa bisyong ito. Walang pisikal na kasino o pasugalan. Walang kaharap, walang accountability. Kaya't mas lumalala ang adiksyon. Dagdag pa rito, maraming online gambling apps at walang regulasyon. Sa likod ng mga makukulay na interface at papremyo, nakatago ang problemang bumabalot ngayon sa bansa. Ang pagkalulong ng maraming Pilipino sa online gambling. Pwede maglaro kahit saan, kahit kailan, kahit sino, bata man o matanda, pwedeng malulong. Ayon sa mga eksperto, ang pagkakalulong sa online gambling ay nagdudulot ng matinding stress at anxiety, pagkakabaon sa utang, pagkawasak ng pamilya, pagkawala ng tiwala sa sarili. At tulad ng ibang bisyo, may mga senyales ito tulad ng hindi makapagpigil kahit walang pera, palihim na tumataya, pagpapabaya sa trabaho, pamilya o sarili. Sa bawat taya, may mga taong tunay na kumikita, mga malalaking negosyante at investors na negosyo ang bisyo ng masa. Para sa kanila, perang pumapasok lang ito. Pero para sa ordinaryong Pilipino, kabuhayan at relasyon ang nauubos. At ang masakit, tila matagal itong nahayaan. Hindi ito naging prioridad ng mga nakaupo sa taas hanggang sa sobrang lumala at halos naapektuhan na ang buong komunidad. Ngayon, sa dami ng nalulong at sa laki ng pinsalang naidulot, saka palalong umugong ang mga panukalang batas para higpitan ng online gambling, gaya ng pagbabawal sa paggamit ng e-wallets para tumaya paghahaya, pagtaas ng minimum bet, mas mahigpit na identity verification, pag-block ng mga illegal na gambling sites, at bawasan o ipagbawal ang mga ads na target ang kabataan. Maaari itong magmukhang laro lang, pero sa katotohanan, isa itong sugal sa kinabukasan. Ang kita na dapat sa mga pangunahing pangangailangan o ipon na uubos sa sugal. At sa mundo ng online gambling, mas madali kang matalo kaysa manalo. Huwag hayaang sugal ang magdikta sa iyong buhay. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Sa kabila ng mga mas modernong kaalaman at teknolohiya, nananatiling matindi ang banta ng HIV sa Pilipinas. Pero gaano nga ba kalala ang sitwasyon? Ang HIV o Human Immunodeficiency Virus ay isang sakit na sumisira sa immune system ng katawan. Ngunit tandaan, hindi ito nakukuha sa simpleng pakikisalamuha. Hindi mo agad mararamdaman, pero unti-unti nitong pinapahina ang katawan. At kapag hindi naagapan, humahantong ito sa AIDS, ang huling yugto na impeksyon, kung saan halos wala ng panlaban ng katawan laban sa sakit. Patuloy na dumadami ang kaso ng sakit na ito sa Pilipinas. Isang nakababahalang pagtaas. Umabot na sa 500% ang itinaas ng HIV cases sa mga kabataang edad 15 hanggang 25. Ayon mismo sa Department of Health, 56 na bagong kaso ang naitatala kada araw sa bansa mula Enero hanggang Marso 2025. At ang pinakamatinding apektado, ang kalalakihan at kabataang Pilipino. Dahil dito, ang Pilipinas na ngayon ang may pinakamataas na bilang ng bagong kaso ng HIV sa buong Western Pacific region. Isang indikasyon ng lumulubahang sitwasyon, kaya nananawagan ng Department of Health gawing opisyal at urgent ang laban sa HIV sa pamamagitan ng isang Public Health Emergency Declaration. Kalalakihan ng pangunahing apektado, 95% ng bagong kaso ay lalaki. Mahigit 1/3 ay kabataang nasa edad 15 hanggang 24. Habang wala pang deklarasyon, patuloy ang DOH sa mga sumusunod na hakbang: HIV testing, libreng gamot, self-test kits, at pakikipagtulungan sa DepEd para sa edukasyon sa mga paaralan. Isinulong rin ng DOH ang online patient appointment system para sa HIV patients. Layunin nitong gawing mas madali at mas personal ang pag-access sa libreng gamutan at konsultasyon. Ayon sa schedule ng pasyente, ang HIV ay hindi tulad ng flu. Hindi ito basta naipapasa sa hangin. Ito ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng personal na desisyon. Kailangan din nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang ugali, disiplina, at personal na responsibilidad. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala, sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin mapapalaya ang ating mga sarili maliban kung sumunong tayo na nagkakaisa sa iisang hangarin.
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at tapat na paglingkuran ang minamahal nating inang bayan.
Ikaw ba ay namomroblema sa taas ng electric bill buwan-buwan? Huwag mag-alala, narito ang ilang paraan upang makatipid sa kuryente. Patayin ang mga ilaw at appliances kapag hindi ginagamit. Sa halip ay gumamit ng natural na liwanag upang makatipid sa kuryente. Tanggalin sa saksakan ang mga appliances kung hindi ginagamit. Iwasan ang paggamit ng maraming appliances ng sabay-sabay. Gumamit ng LED bulbs. Ito ay mas tipid sa kuryente kumpara sa mga incandescent at fluorescent bulbs. Regular na linisin ang mga appliances tulad ng electric fan, aircon vents at refrigerator. Magkaroon ng takdang araw sa isang linggo sa pamamalansya at paglalaba. Gumamit ng energy-efficient appliances. Tandaan, maging wais sa paggamit ng kuryente upang makatipid para mas gumaan ang buhay. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
And we're back. U.S.-Iran nuclear negotiations have entered a critical phase following a pivotal meeting between Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and nuclear watchdog chief Rafael Grossi in Geneva, while Tehran has dispatched a full team of experts to demonstrate their seriousness. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio remains skeptical, citing the theological influence of Iran's leadership as a major barrier to a permanent agreement. Almar Fusuelo has the details.
Equipped with nuclear experts and economic specialists, the Iranian delegation arrived in Geneva for the second round of the indirect talks with the United States, mediated by Oman. Ahead of tomorrow's formal negotiations, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met with IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi to address the technical complexities of Iran's nuclear program. Amid escalating regional tensions and the looming shadow of U.S. military action, Araghchi maintained that while Tehran is open to a fair deal, it will not submit to threats.
هدف از این سفر انجام دومین دور مذاکرات هسته‌ای است که به صورت غیر مستقیم با میانجیگری عمان قرار هست انجام بشه. موضوع رفع تحریم ها برای ما یک موضوع لاینفک هست از هر روند دیپلماتیکی در رابطه با
While preparations were underway in Geneva, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio offered a blunt assessment from Budapest. Rubio argued that reaching a deal with Iran is inherently difficult because policy decisions are governed by radical Shia clerics based on theology rather than geopolitics. Despite his skepticism, he emphasized that the Trump administration remains hopeful for a peaceful outcome to avoid a larger military confrontation in the Middle East.
Look, doing a deal with Iran is not easy. I said it yesterday, I'll repeat it again today. I mean, we have to understand that Iran ultimately is governed and its decisions are governed by Shia clerics, radical Shia clerics, okay? These people make policy decisions on the basis of pure theology. That's how they make their decisions. So it's hard to do a deal with Iran. We've always said it's hard, but we're going to try.
President Donald Trump also weighed in, characterizing the Iranians as tough negotiators.
So I'll be involved in those talks indirectly, and they'll be very important. We'll see what can happen. It's been typically, Iran's a very tough negotiator. They're good negotiators. I think they want to make a deal. I don't think they want the consequences of not making a deal. They want to make a deal.
Following previous warnings regarding the use of B-2 bombers to neutralize Iran's nuclear potential, Trump suggested that Tehran is now more inclined to reach an agreement to avoid the devastating consequences of a failed diplomatic path. Both nations will return to the table of the Omani diplomatic mission to determine if a fair and equitable roadmap is still possible. Reporting for Newsline World, Almar Forzuelo, SMNI News.
The Russian Arctic is facing a humanitarian challenge as hundreds of tourists, including many from China, remain stranded in the remote village of Tereberka following a devastating blizzard, while the Murmansk region struggles to open the snow-choked highway. The capital Moscow is also reeling from a refreshed winter onslaught that has placed public utilities on full alert. This report. A relentless Arctic blizzard has turned the picturesque village of Teriberka into a trap for hundreds of travelers seeking the northern lights. The only road connecting the remote settlement to the outside world was shut down on February 9, leaving more than 480 visitors, including over 300 foreign tourists, stranded in the freezing Murmansk region. According to Governor Andrei Chibis, while nearly 300 vehicles managed to pass through earlier, dozens more remain stuck. Local schools and temporary shelters have been converted into emergency accommodation centers, where tourists from China and other regions are being provided with hot meals and medical care. With road access severely restricted, some desperate travelers were turned to expensive helicopter evacuations, reportedly costing 30,000 rubles per seat. Over 1,000 kilometers to the south, Moscow is dealing with its own winter emergency. Following a brief thaw, a new storm has blanketed the capital in heavy snow, complicated by wind gusts of up to 61 kilometers per hour. Municipal services are working in enhanced mode, repeating mechanized sweeping and de-icing cycles every few hours to keep vital systems running. The extreme weather has proven deadly beyond the blocked roads. The Emergencies Ministry reported that 9 people were killed and 15 others injured across Russia over the past week due to snow and ice falling from building roofs. As meteorologists predict, temperatures in Moscow could plunge to negative 16 degrees Celsius on Tuesday. Authorities are warning citizens to remain vigilant against both the cold and the hazards of the ongoing blizzard. Reporting from Newsline World, this has been Prince Tripoli, SMNI News. Fresh efforts to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine are underway, as Russian and Ukrainian delegations arrive in Geneva for a new round of US-mediated peace talks. This report from Carlo de la Peña.
Negotiations scheduled for February 17 to 18 are being viewed as a critical test of whether Washington's shuttle diplomacy can push discussions beyond humanitarian deals and toward a broader ceasefire framework. Officials say the talks will include trilateral sessions alongside separate bilateral meetings between U.S. representatives on each side. Previous rounds, including negotiations held in Abu Dhabi, resulted in prisoner exchanges but did not produce any major political breakthrough. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday confirmed Kiev's delegation has already arrived in Geneva and is preparing for negotiations. He urged Western partners not to delay air defense deliveries, warning that continued Russian strikes require stronger and faster military support.
Будь-яке гальмування ракет для ППО, будь-яке невчасне постачання працює на масштабування шкоди від ударів. Треба, щоб усе те, про що ми говорили в Мюнхені з партнерами, було реалізовано.
He added that Ukraine is also working with Washington on a strategic energy partnership alongside parallel cooperation initiatives with European allies.
Із Америкою є напрацювання для стратегічного енергетичного партнерства України та Сполучених Штатів Америки. Це дуже важливо.
The United States is acting as the principal mediator, led by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who has overseen recent diplomatic outreach and earlier prisoner swap agreements. Jared Kushner, President Donald Trump's son-in-law, is also expected to join the trilateral discussions. Meanwhile, ahead of the Geneva talks, Trump told reporters that Ukraine better come to the table fast.
You're going to have Ukraine talks tomorrow as well in Geneva with Witkoff and Jared Kushner. What are you expecting there? Is there
big talks? It's going to be very easy. I mean, look, so far, Ukraine better come to the table fast. That's all I'm telling you. We are in a position, we want them to come.
On the Russian side, Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybkov said Moscow's delegation is en route to Geneva later tonight. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said negotiations will cover a wider range of issues than previous rounds, including territorial questions and Russia's broader demands. Russia's team will be led by presidential aide Vladimir Medinsky as chief negotiator, while Ukraine's delegation is held by National Security and Defense Council Secretary Rustem Umerov. Diplomats say the Geneva round could shape the next phase of negotiations and set expectations for both military and political developments heading into the spring. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
The Philippine Army has confirmed that its investigation into the case of Colonel Audi Mongao has been completed. Mongao, an active officer of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, previously withdrew his support for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. The Army chief also addressed allegations that soldiers are being silenced for expressing their opinions. Almar Fusuelo has the details.
It is, siyempre, Article of War yun. 63, disrespect.
This was the statement of Lieutenant General Antonio Navarrete, Commanding General of the Philippine Army, when asked about the case of Colonel Audi Mongao, an officer of the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP, who withdrew his support for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. In a press briefing at Fort Bonifacio in Taguig City, Lieutenant General Navarrete said the investigation has concluded and that Colonel Mongao will undergo general court-martial proceedings.
Right now, he's tapos na po yung investigation sa kanya sa TRACOM, and he's already here for GCM, for a general court-martial.
Navarrete also confirmed that during the investigation, Colonel Mongao admitted that he was responsible for the controversial post.
Yes, sa kanya yun. And he admittedly said that ginawa niya yun.
On the issue that the military is allegedly silencing soldiers who express political views, the Army chief dismissed the claims as mere speculation. He emphasized that the military follows established standards and protocols as part of their organization. According to Navarrete, Colonel Mongao's statement was deemed disrespectful to the president, and as a member of the organization, he must undergo due process and face a corresponding investigation.
Those are speculations na pinapatahimik natin. We have our standards as military, part of the military organization. No? Yung kay Colonel Mongao, he did his statement disrespecting the president. He is still part of the organization, and ginawa niyang pagbigay na nawalan siya ng confidence. No? So he has to face this an investigation for this, the due process.
Authorities are now awaiting the formal general court-martial proceedings for Colonel Mongao. The Philippine Army assured the public that proper procedures will be strictly observed in resolving the case. The military leadership reiterates its commitment to discipline, professionalism, and adherence to chain of command, stressing the accountability and due process remain fundamental principles with the armed forces. For God and my beloved Philippines, Almar Fusuelo, SMNI News.
The Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center, or CICC, has warned the public after a victim fell prey to a fake face ID and biometric verification scheme involving the Eagle Philippine app. Angel Pastor reports.
After a victim lost more than 100,000 pesos due to a scam involving the eGov.ph mobile app, the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center, or CICC, immediately issued a public warning. According to the CICC, a scammer posing as a government employee called the victim, claiming to verify the victim's national ID records. The scammer used a fake face ID and biometric verification process to obtain the victim's information and eventually drain the victim's bank account. Instead of providing assistance, the suspect pressured the victim to use Face ID and other biometric login methods through a fraudulent interface. CICC Undersecretary Renato Aboy Paraiso emphasized that legitimate government agencies will never ask for OTPs, passwords, or biometric data over the phone or through unverified links. The agency reminded the public to be cautious when sharing personal information. The CICC also provided simple steps to avoid cyber scams. Ensure that applications being used are official. Never share OTPs or passwords. And always verify suspicious calls or messages through the agency's official hotline. For God and my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
The Seoul High Court ruled Kist must pay 880 million won to the production company of the drama River, Where the Moon Rises over actor Kim Jisoo's bullying controversy. Meanwhile, K-pop supergroup BTS teased their fifth studio album, Arirang, as their most matured whole package. Blake Ann has all the buzz.
In a second ruling on February 13, the Civil Affairs Department of the Seoul High Court confirmed that management agency Key East must settle the payment to the production company of the drama River Where the Moon Rises. This also includes any accrued interest due to delayed payment. The case stems from contractual obligations between the agency and the production company during actor Kim Ji-soo's tenure with Key East, which became embroiled in public controversy after allegations of bullying involving the actor surfaced. Legal experts say the ruling reinforces accountability for talent agencies regarding contractual responsibilities, even amid reputational disputes surrounding their artists. The 7-member K-pop sensation RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook shared insights about their creative process and artistic growth while maintaining a level of secrecy about the album's full details. Suga told GQ that Arirang will highlight a more mature side of BTS, signaling a departure from some of their previous concepts while retaining the energy and signature style that fans worldwide have come to expect. The septet also made history as the first K-pop act to appear on the cover of the internationally renowned magazine, marking a milestone in global recognition for the group. Industry observers note that BTS' careful approach to promoting Arirang reflects both their evolving artistry and the high expectations surrounding the next chapter in their career. As anticipation builds, BTS fans, ARMY, are eager to see how the group blends maturity and musical innovation in Arirang, potentially redefining their sound on a global stage. And that's all for now. I'm Blake Ann, bringing you the latest show buzz.
Patom Nisanka fired an unbeaten 100 to lead Sri Lanka national cricket team to an 8th win over Australian national cricket team in Pallekele, putting Australia's T20 World Cup hopes in jeopardy. However, Anthony Kim captured his first LIV Golf title and first professional win since 2010, outplaying two-time major champion Jon Rahm to finish 23rd under their Great Golf Club in Adelaide. Carl de la Peña tells us more.
Australia entered the match needing a win to keep their Super 8 hopes alive after a shock defeat to Zimbabwe, but Patom Nisanka dominated with a commanding innings. Nisanka scored an unbeaten 100 off 52 balls, combining power and finesse to guide Sri Lanka past the target of 182. Kusal Mendes supported him with 51 from 38 balls, marking his third consecutive half-century in the tournament. Australia had started strongly, with Travis Head making 59 and Mitchell Marsh adding 54, putting the team at 104 without loss in just 8.2 overs. However, the innings collapsed late, with the last 5 wickets failing for only 7 runs, leaving Australia all out for 181. Missing key pacers Pat Cummins, Josh Hazelwood, and Mitchell Starc, Australia's bowling attack failed to contain Sri Lanka. Nisanka also contributed in the field, with a spectacular catch to dismiss Glenn Maxwell. With this win, Sri Lanka national cricket team advanced to the Super 8 stage in strong form, while Australia national cricket team now depend on other results to stay in the tournament.
Meanwhile, after years away from the sport due to retirement and personal struggles, including alcohol and drug addiction, Kim made a stunning comeback to claim his first win since 2010. He started the final round with 5 shots behind Ram and overnight leader Bryson DeChambeau, but fired a flawless 9 under par 63, with 5 birdies on the back 9 to secure victory by 3 strokes. John Ram finished second at 20 under, while DeChambeau struggled with 4 bogeys on the front 9 and ended tied for third, with Tyrell Hatton and Peter Yulin 6 shot off the lead. Kim, a former world number 6 Ryder Cup champion and 3-time PGA Tour winner, returned to LIV Golf in 2024 as a wildcard and earned a full-time spot with 4 Aces GC for 2026. He also made a memorable contribution in the field with spectacular paying. His victory marks an emotional redemption, with Kim paying tribute to his family for supporting him through difficult times and celebrating his first win since the 2010 Houston Open. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the song. Winning and losing begin in the mind, and your mind is the womb of your faith. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God in my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Prince Tripoli. Thank you for watching and goodbye.